Hello. Good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. It is Wednesday, the 7th day of August, year of our Lord 2024. You know what that means, that it is free Wednesday. So we're here 9:15 a.m. for a little bit of live trading with all three clovers. We're going to talk about our watch list instead of going through the gappers. We'll talk to you through our watch lists, which are usually exclusively only for 3 and 4 leaf clovers over at cloverchain.io. We'll do a little bit of live trading into the open. And we'll get on out of here. As always, you can always ask any questions. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Get over there in the Clover YouTube chat. We'd be happy to talk it up with you. Maybe some other person will talk with you as well. Just get in there, have a good time. Let us know that you're picking up what we're putting down. Um, but it is a beautiful morning here. Went for a nice run up in the sun because it was storming yesterday. Didn't have any service last night, so I'm making my watch list right now.
Um,
Um,
how many miles you run?
I don't keep track of that until my heart rate gets to an unhealthy number.
till I puke on the side of the road. All right.
Yeah, like for me, there is not that type of distance in it. It's more of a, oh, we've been doing this for about an hour.
Okay.
We've walked a little, ran a little, and we feel like
Made
we
some
could
friends
fall
along
over.
the way.
Yeah. Said hi to some dogs.
All right. All right.
I'm
Well,
picking up
well.
what you're putting down.
What was that?
I'm picking up what you're putting
Yeah.
down.
He's picking it. Let us know if you're picking up what we're putting
I'm
down.
smelling what you're cooking.
He's smelling it. What's in the kitchen? Um,
I was in the kitchen.
Yeah, make sure if you guys are here, if you're new, we're live every single day the market's open, 8:45 a.m. Generally, it's just me and Huddy, and we're rocking through the gapper. So if that interests you, either for gap and craps or gap and goes, or just a good time and a laugh, join us. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're here every day and you're not subscribed, please check. It's very easy to check. Make sure that you are. If you aren't, get involved and hit that thumbs up button. We do have pretty stringent criteria on what the like button needs to get to. It's usually right around that 50 mark. But for every, for the more of you that there are, we wouldn't mind it going up. So let's have a good time this morning, and we'll kick off the second half of the week.
All righty. Well, let's get started with the watch list here. Mine. Let me really quickly. Let's make this bigger so people know what tickers we're talking about. Let's go to like a 36. There we go. Okay, Sava here. Sava was a great first red day yesterday. A little bit of a choppy ticker. Clearly, as you can see, it kind of can gap down and then squeeze back. It can wick super hard to SSR and come back. However, yesterday was the first confirmed day of weakness. Great sell-off today. We are gapping down. However, I still think there is room to see the 26s, 25s, maybe even 24s. 24s would be pretty ugly, but I do think there's a possibility because if you go back and you look at any major run this stock has had, it has offered a second red day, right? Big first red day, gap down, second red day. If we go a little bit over, let's go a little over more. Big red day, second red day. I think there's one more maybe. Let's see. I mean, gap down, second red day further. Not that big of a deal. Here, yeah. First small red day, then second bigger red day. So there's a world where once this trend changes, it's set in its ways for at least 2 or 3 days. So there is a world where, 28, 29 short here, risking what, 30, 30, 50, red green, and then looking for 26, 25, again maybe 24. So we'll see. I don't love the gap down exactly at 28. I'd love it more towards 29 just from a risk reward scenario. So we'll see out the market open if we do get a spike or something. But yeah, worst case for me, I do want to risk like this 30, 50 level. Maybe these bounce highs at like 30, 75 ish, high 30s, sub 31s. So we'll see about that. Obviously, the ticker of the day that everyone's going to be watching and the shiny object is Lumen, LUMN. Huge squeeze in after hours. Frankly, I don't even think this has anything to do with earnings. I think once a stock squeezes like this with this kind of action, with earnings being announced, no one's really looking at the earnings, and it's all just, am I up or down on my position? And obviously, a lot of shorts were down on their positions. Huge squeeze from 5 to practically 10, mid 9s. Now in the 7s, high 6s. I am uncertain what to do with this today. If there's not enough momentum as there was yesterday, I can see this kind of crapping itself, maybe selling off from 7 to 6, maybe 550. However, if it is still super crowded, if there are still a bunch of shorts that have not covered, I could see this being very choppy, very crowded, and it can still sell off, but there's going to be some spikes in between. There's going to be action I don't want to be a part of, so I'm going to try to avoid it if it's choppy, if it's heavy. And essentially, I'm saying that because, look at this parabolic yesterday. This was a nightmare. right? I lost money on this. I know other people got super tilted trading this. And then once everyone covered, which was around this last part here and making a new high, it just faded beautifully, right? So we're trying to avoid this and maybe capture this. And we'll see if this even happens today. And so I'm going to try to be patient with that. Other than that, we have RR. I didn't put this on the watch list because it wasn't really on my watch list until I saw it at pre-market here. RR is gapping up after yesterday getting absolutely obliterated. I don't know if this was like a China liquidation play. I thought RR was a little bit of somewhat of a legit runner, but maybe it wasn't this whole time. Did technically liquidate from 130s down to 30, now gapping up to 60. So if there's a world where this spikes or sells off on big volume, we could see another one of these where this just fades back to 30 cents. So we'll see. It doesn't have to do that, but that is something I'm also keeping an eye on. Other than that, there's no big gappers on the day. And so, yeah, that's all I've got.
Very fun. Very, very nice. Wow. Awesome. Yeah, you know, before the month started, people like Kellogg, people like Kyle like to tell you that August is the worst month in history, just because it is. Right now it's just tending to be that way because it's the market pulled back quite a bit. But I'm going into it with that mindset now that we have had that negative like 3 or 4% day. We're way off the highs. We're bouncing back right now, but I'm not just going to jump right back into bullishness everywhere. We need a lot of the charts were destroyed by the other day. Everything kind of gapped down significantly, and anything that was holding up near its highs is kind of gone. And so I'm just going into every day with patience. Patience for runners. I want to see charts develop. It was nice to see something like Sava come out of there and still be extended after what happened on Monday. Unfortunately, missed that one, but did take part in Lumen breakout over the 420 area. Did well in that. I was talking to Kyle earlier. I don't know why he would let me sell in the 450 to 5 area when he knew it was going to 9 into earnings. I never hold into catalysts or earnings, but that is the thing I feel like beginners do. They'll look at that and go, "Oh my gosh, I need to start swinging into earnings," and that's the wrong lesson
Right.
to get out of it. So I'm very happy with how I did that one. That's pretty much my only trade this week. But watching Lumen for a short as well, kind of treating more like an overextended gap up, kind of post catalyst here. So if the volume isn't going to match what it did yesterday, if we do get some sort of hard crack off the highs and then a bounce, I will allow myself to lose on it once, and I'd be happy with that because I do think that this can fade when it does pick a direction. So want to give it 15 minutes to an hour to do its thing. And if it just is a strong day above view up, I'm going to let it be a strong day above view up. Um, as far as longs go, INDO, I think will continue to hang around as long as the tension in the Middle East is there. And it's kind of holding up right now. It's not really on a first green day or reversal list just because the first move wasn't even 100%. But keeping a third eye there, nothing I'm going to buy right out of the gate or today. And yeah, I don't. SGMO, huge failure yesterday. Happy I stayed away from that. We talked about it in the webinar. Um, I'll continue to watch it as it's holding up around $1, but that type of action is the kind of action that makes me want to live without it ever being involved in my life. And so probably not going to play that one. That's pretty much it. I'm going to continue to go into every day with just the idea that it's no trading unless something really optimal sets up that I want to lose once on or make 3+ R on. So slow morning looks like, but at least we'll have something like Luma to watch.
Nice. Just to take a different angle than these guys, macro wise, I am watching the conflict in Israel and seeing if that escalates. I do think that having INDO and Husa close by and some of the oil stocks that have been in that sector. I mean, again, if things escalate really gnarly, um, I think it'd be good to have just an eye on those tickers as they're consolidating here. No reason to be early. It just depends on what the news says. So for now, I'm just keeping a third eye there. As far as Lumen goes, I'm probably, I wouldn't say I'm bullish because I just wouldn't buy after day one. I don't think there's great odds on day two. But here's what I really don't like about the short thesis. One, it's easy to borrow. So I think, even if there is a world where all the shorts got blown out, there's a world where they all get sucked right back in today at 7. At a worse price than where they got blown out from. So easy to borrow, and it's running on earnings. I said it yesterday in Good Morning NASDAQ. Like that's my least favorite catalyst to short. There is a world where I'll get involved, but it's probably not today. Ideally, it keeps running for another day, blows everyone out through 9-10 area, and then we set up for like a real first red day after some serious extension and sped up price action and some volume capitulation. I think that would make a more just ideal scenario around the ticker. Of course, it could still fail today, and I'll just miss it, but I don't think it's that ideal for me right now. So those are my two thoughts. I do kind of like Kyle's idea on Sava, but that one is super conditional on whether you get a spike and can risk a level that matters. So, but I'll be watching that as well. And yeah, as far as the gappers go, none of them are up enough for me to care. So, in an ideal world, it's kind of a no trade day for me. Ideal world is the Israel circumstances do not escalate. Lumen does go much higher, and I don't participate. And Sava doesn't give me a spike, and I don't have to short it. So that's what I want today. We'll see if I get it.
Alrighty, beautiful. Get 2 minutes into the open here. As you stated, how do you do like that? We're slightly upticking on Sava into the mid 28s. Maybe get us 29s by the open. That would be perfect. But yeah, actually, technically, RR is gapping up enough to where I would consider it a gap and crap. But kind of weird because it's only gapping up to levels not seen since a couple hours ago.
0405, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm probably still going to treat it the same as a discretionary fader more than like a gap and crapper because it's kind of a different scenario here. Maybe if it like gets to 80, this bounce to 80 was a really good fail here. So we'll see where levels it holds or doesn't hold. Yeah, Lumen, I think I'll just nail in the coffin here. I'm definitely going to wait. Like Dom said, I definitely don't want to be early on this and get chopped up. For those who were in the room, I briefly mentioned after I got done getting chopped up on it, I tried to short this parabolic about 1 or 2 times. Ultimately stopped out on this last move here, and it chopped me up. It just was not an easy mover. Was thinking of waiting for a pullback into the $7 range right here, and didn't get it, and then you get it. Once everyone gets squeezed out, then it comes. So quite annoying, and so I'm trying not to be, this kind of early. I'm trying to be this kind of late, right? So anyways, about 40 seconds here. Save your questions, everyone, for, 15 minutes in, and we'll answer them for the last 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be on our way to the start of our day.
On the way to start our day.
We can have Lumen up, although I'm probably going to be trading Sava right out the open, whichever you guys prefer. Maybe put in the chat real quick which ones you guys would like to see. But I am considering Sava's at 29 right now pre-market. I might just try to start in just a wee bit. Nothing wrong with taking a starter, risking something here.
We do have a right the market open quote here from Dawson. That cucumber is bitter, so toss it out. There are thorns on the path and keep away. Enough said. Why ponder the existence of nuisance? Marcus Aurelius. Thank you, Dawson, for that.
There we go. Beautiful.
Can always count on him for
he's catching
some
on.
motivation. Joseph says, Dom, how are you always so happy and full of energy? I love it. Makes me feel better. It's an act. I'm dying inside. No,
He's one of those comedians that's like the funniest guy ever, but then secretly like just like crying.
I mean, why? You got to start your day with a smile, before the stock market ruins it for you.
It's like someone's got to bring it to the table because the stock market can take it away from you.
Lumen and RR spikes. I like your RR idea.
I do too, but Sava here, I did get short a little more into this 29.50 area. Got 2K shares, risking about 4K if I cut at 31 with some slippage. There's a world where I want to add a little bit more, but I want to try to see it fail first. Big spike from Lumen. Wow. Back to updates. RR over 70. Pretty impressive. Looks like Sava might be failing here as well. If that's all it's got, it's a pretty weak morning spike, but it could be delayed. It could have a little more juice in it. Yeah, as I speak, here we go. Maybe not. Also, look at the volume, though. Look how much lower it is that first minute out the open versus the second. or versus the yesterday. That's a good sign. Doesn't mean it's foolproof, but definitely tells me it's not necessarily that strong.
That's a pretty hard crack right there off of looms.
Oh, Lumen. Let's see.
Makes me feel like I'm watching trading tickers too, and I'm thinking to myself, hard crack, lower high.
We're gonna risk 31 on Sava to start, but it should fail red green right here. That should be it right there. Let's see though. In fact, let me actually I can push it just a little bit. Let me add a little more here while we're at 30.
Let me push it a little.
Let me add a little more. Let me chase a little bit in high 29s.
Is this the hybrid trade or the straight up trade?
The what?
The hybrid.
What's the hybrid? Oh, where I
You
have
brought it.
no.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Kind of a hybrid plan here. I'm gonna add and risk this level.
we're gonna keep it all on 31 for now. But if it does fail if it fails a new low a day, like let's say it goes to 28.50, we're gonna move it all to 30.50 red green. So far so good, but we need a little more failure than that. There we go. Come on. Promise the spread's a little big. The spread right now is 50 cents. On a $30 stock, that's not too bad, but it's certainly not a tight spread either. But yeah, Lumen here. Pull that up real quick. Hard pull. Maybe it dies, maybe it doesn't, but this is the kind of action where I'd want to chase, and then a choppy ticker would come back, and I would start getting tilted very quickly. RR, nice spike, and now pulling. This is something smooth to me where actually if this bounces into like 67, 68, 69, I might want to start in and get short risking high a day. That would be something I'd be interested in. But we'll keep Lumen back up here. More failure.
I'd much rather this just be an overblown pullback, and I really feel like it's backside versus just chasing here, feeling like, oh, I gotta find a way to risk off high a day and get decent risk reward. I'm okay missing these. I'd rather short stuff when it's green, when it's red, than when it's green.
Yeah.
Looks like I might halt down here.
Might hold down, yeah. And
Come on, chaser, short it.
This is the I guess what they call it, the risk or the information I'm paying to miss is that I want to know if it's, like I said, in pre-market, if it's choppy or not. And so part of it's like it's in real time, you don't know, right? This so far to me seems like it's not that choppy, right? There's not that many shorts trying to get squeezed out. Obviously there was one candle and now it's nothing but just heavy selling. But again, eventually there will be a bounce, and that bounce would be something I'd want to be interested in, right? So the initial move I might miss, but if it proves, smooth, then the secondary move is something I would look for.
J-Bone says, there's a world where there's a world. Believe it or not. Rocky, whenever you guys have a chance, if you're in between trades, just want to know how Lumen has such a high float but is trading like a low float.
So I thought more about this overnight, and the reality is any large float can be traded like a low float if enough of the float is being held, right? Like it could have 1 billion shares outstanding, but if 900 million are being held by, I don't know, hedge funds, mutual funds, institutions, retail, like if such a large portion of the float is just not being traded, well, then you're only actually actively trading 10% of the float. And the problem is we don't really have that information. Like we don't know how many people haven't traded it in the last year or touched their shares in the last year. Like we just don't know that information. So there's just a world where
There's a world where there's a world.
Yeah, there's a world where, it can move like this, especially if there's enough shorts, RR getting filled here on this bounce. Very nice. Let's hope it's a little
INDO perking a bit. Daily chart starting to shape up. Don't love the resistance overhead, but what is it, Wednesday today? I would probably play that breakout if I, gun to my head, you ask me. But that's not something I want to be in early right now because there's all the overhead behind it. So it would have to set up quite good, maybe into an afternoon like tomorrow.
Added more Sava. I think this is the failure. This is the failure we want to see in the world.
If this fades to 25 today, that's 2 days in a row where green red has just been money.
Don't get me excited.
Held to the dot though.
Yeah.
That's obviously a behavior of it if that's the case.
Yeah.
After not respecting it all for days.
Right. It's a full switch. Maybe it was premature. I mean, at this point now, I'm going to move my risk to high today, but or to red green. But I think that was a pretty good failure there. It was a good start at least. Also filled more RR. I was sitting on 69. It just barely filled me there. That's sick. So what's my risk now? My average. I'm risking about what's the high day? I can add more. I'm not enough risk. I don't have enough. But I actually also want to maybe wait for failure, possibly. Because if this is going to really fail, I can totally add it like 64 and be fine. Okay, yeah, here we go. Here we are. Come on. Let's do a little more.
I'll join you there.
We'll wait for the very last ad for like lower low kind of action. Like what's low a day? 63.72. Yeah, we gotta wait for that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when you used to trade day 2 pumps, like after they liquidated, and then they gap up the next day, have the pre-market volume. Because R has a ton of volume today. If you just look at the volume today versus yesterday,
Yeah.
like massive.
But yeah, I just don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Yeah, here we go. This is doing it. This is gonna do it. So wait, we have 50,000 shares. Oh wait, I didn't fill. Why didn't I fill?
SSR's on.
That would be why. Well, I filled so quickly on all the others. That's the weird part. No. God dang it. Dang it. Let's see if I can. Oh, guys, you're screwing me. So never mind. I have 40. I filled 10 shares on the last order. 10. All these filled immediately. And I filled 10 on the last. That's unfortunate. Let's see if it can bounce into my order now. Well, I have 40,000 shares from the 67.5. Maybe if we go back down to the lows, it'd be a pretty sweet win. Back down to like 40 here would be a legendary.
Thank you, mother.
But we'll see. Sava looking weaker. I think this is on the verge of breaking low of day. I think this is coming. Looks absolutely incredible. I think bare minimum we can go to yesterday's lows of high 26s, maybe break that and go into the 25s. If it goes to 24s, I'll be pretty impressed. I probably won't have shares till 24. I think if we can get to 25, that would be my last piece of aggression, or of what's it called? Of patience, I should say. God dang it, RR. That last ad's unfortunate.
Trying to forget Lumen exists for a little bit. Because this is where I can see myself getting bored entering and do the perfect bounce back into this high 7s.
Yeah, there's a world where
I just don't feel like I need to be in this right now. I've won on 3 trades on this stock, so this could be the biggest one. So it's like,
that's the one thing that's preventing any FOMO at all, is that even if this does sell off to 6, like there's still a red day to be had. This thing is up from 250 to 7. It can close at 6, and tomorrow can still be a great opportunity. You know.
And I've, as a, not a professional short seller, everyone. So when you see me short selling, not a professional. I have really thought about just stop shorting while stocks are green, unless we're like right now, Lumen's up 40%. Like there's a very high percentage it's not going red today, and when you short stocks that just aren't red for multiple days, even like they're squeezing out, they're getting close and they're squeezing out, and then you get that one day where it opens just barely green and goes red. You have good risk reward, you have higher conviction, and you get like the lower volume fade because everyone's been worked up on it. Like I think of Zap, I think of like DXYZ, and it's just, it's hard to wait because you miss a lot. Like if Lumen does go to like 4 today, I'll miss the whole trade.
Yeah.
But I just don't like losing. Like that's where all my biggest losses in my career have come from, is just like losing so much on the front side that like the backside I have to be there and I have to be big. And I don't like doing that.
Yeah. That right there confirmed it for me. I do not want to be in this right now. That like fake fail and then immediately wick right back and just absorb anybody who shorted or sold there. Like I can't stand that kind of action. That's how I get tilted very quickly. Especially if I'm like cutting, entering. Like that's just back and forth headache. RR, please bounce. Oh, triple R. No, we want double R. I'm sitting on like 62.87. So let's hope we get a pop here into 63 for the ad. Sava, I think we roll over any minute now. We just did new low a day. a minute or two ago.
Hey Kyle, what do you call that pattern
This one,
when you're shorting day two
I would
after it's already had a red day?
call it a day two, second red day kind of idea. A little bit lower odds. I think if over my career I haven't tracked it, but I think I tracked it one time to know like just the generalities of it. If my first red day pattern, at least for me, how I trade them, wins me about 60 to 65% of the time, the second red day works for me about 50 to 55. So it's the same. It's the whole entire same trade plan for me. It's just lower odds that it works essentially. And in this case, this was in a form of like an overextended gap down, kind of how I treated it, so to speak.
No fear of that you're going to give away profits from winning on the first day and then tilting on a day like today or something, and then all of a sudden,
I
if you just avoided it.
There is that aspect. However, I don't really, unless I really traded it poorly. Well, I think it's easy for me to do this today when I have a really good cushion from yesterday. It's actually the opposite, where like I'm willing to give up money because I traded it so well yesterday. Versus if I didn't trade it well yesterday, I would go in with a much less comfortability, and I'd feel like crap. I don't have money to lose, so I wouldn't probably trade it as well. Because the whole, for me, most times than not, the fear of maybe giving money away isn't there, because that's true for any setup. Like, it may not be for this ticker Sava, but it's like if I go trade Lumen, am I worried about giving up profits on Lumen from Sava? Like, I shouldn't be. If I do that, then I'm just trading my P&L, you know? So it's not just, I don't look at it just as one ticker. I try to look at it as a whole. And if I'm looking at it too deeply as a whole, well, then it's like I'm trading my P&L and not the pattern that's in front of me, you know?
Yeah.
So
I don't think RR's gonna bounce.
yeah, look at that. I mean, it's a good sign though. That means tells me it's weak and it's working, but I'm just gonna miss the last ad. I'll have 80% my size.
Lumen here makes me feel like I want to be long, but I'm not doing that because that's a no pattern as well.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for this thing to go over 10, man.
I think scalpers love Lumen, because if I was a
It's
scalper,
liquid, it's quick now. Yeah.
I would see that wick, see that it's soaked, and be like, they're shorts, and then immediately just catch it for a 30-cent
7 to
move like
740.
this.
Yeah. 150 of you in here. Come on, get some questions going. We'll stay here for a couple minutes, answer questions. Ain't tickers. There's some tickers you guys mentioned, but I can't find DZGH as a ticker. Sorry about that. Thoughts on
DZGH?
Yeah, I couldn't find it on my
Yeah, that
charting.
doesn't
I don't know.
exist.
Someone said thoughts on swim. Looks like just a day one medium
The
gapper.
Olympics?
Latham Group on a stock that doesn't look to be like it probably is a small cap, but no interest there. It's just not. It's a super choppy daily. Sometimes I really find it hard to say why I don't like something, but I just know in my heart of hearts I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I don't either. You, as the more charts you look at, the quicker you can look at one and be like, nope. You know, people might think like this is something I'd look at. Nope. I look at it for 2 seconds and like, nope. It just isn't. It's choppy. Looks like a real company. It's very wiki. It's not your typical crappy runner like RR here. RR, very smooth.
Wiki.
Very little volume. Volume where it matters, or when it matters. And now it's fading beautifully.
What are the stats on this? Or do they normally go back to yesterday's lows, or?
I would think so. I mean, if this is I don't know if this was China related. I guess this was kind of a China pump, or dump. It looks like. So I'm assuming. A lot of the day twos that I've seen on China pumps can get ugly. They don't get as ugly as the day one, but totally this could totally see 40. Like I would not shock me. But then again, there's some days where it's a pain in the butt. So it's somewhere.
I remember the only one I traded with you was the MLGO one on the first run, I think.
Yeah. So there's a world where I think this fades at least to 50, and then we'll see if it actually holds up better or it actually starts just getting crushed to 40. Somewhere in that world.
Jeff says, for shorting low floats, do you look at history of the ticker closing red gaps and incorporate that into your size?
No. This might be a better question for Huddy, but speaking of Huddy, Huddy's been quiet over there. I think he's muted and he doesn't know it, but
oh, he knows it. He's trying to sneak through an episode without talking.
I have been muted and I had no idea.
There's no way.
All right, I'll answer
He's
this.
like, wow,
question,
these guys are just ignoring me, huh? I see how it is.
What's the question?
Where is it? Oh, for shorting low floats, do you guys look at the history of the ticker closing red on gap ups? to incorporate that in your size?
No.
No.
Yeah,
Straightforward.
I think those are two
Um,
separate things.
yeah. I mean, one, what's a low float? I don't necessarily like to short anything underneath 1 million float. So it doesn't matter what its history is. I'm likely just going to avoid it regardless of what its history looks like. And and based off its history, that does not change my size. Like my sizing is for the most part consistent. If I want to increase my size, I increase my size on all of them. I don't like pick and choose favorites because I really don't have that much of an edge in that picking and choosing department.
Dumb.
Yeah, for me, it's just more about a level of safety. Same as Huddy. I want the same dollar risk per setup. If it's a short setup, I have a pretty across the board dollar risk. And the only way I would never take more if it was a low float, but I would maybe take less if like the spread was a little wide, if it was very halty, and I was worried about not getting it where I want and accounting for some slippage. The pattern would tell me if I try like the history of closing red, all that stuff, the behavioral trend of the stock would help me decide if it's a trade or not. And then the low float nature of it would just become from a risk management perspective of how to be safe and trade the amount of shares I want in a way that I'm not going to lose a bunch of extra because of how thin it is.
Yeah, I when I read this question, I immediately thought of gap and craps, which is why I thought Huddy was gonna would answer. But yeah, he didn't technically mention it or not. If it's for gap and craps, I don't really care if it's how many times it's closed red. It only takes. I mean, if it's closed red a bunch of times on a gap and crap, then sure, there's maybe high odds or maybe just more likely characteristics that it would. But I'm not going to double or triple my size because of that, right? It only takes the one time you do that it actually doesn't close red, and then you take a big loss. And in the name of conviction or in the name of just it's done red 7 times on the 8th time, you're like holding longer than you should, and you have way more size, and you lose your ass, right?
Yeah.
So I
Where the
try to
heck did
take
it
more.
go?
What you?
I had a thought while you were speaking. There was one time that I doubled my size this year. And again, I think a lot of stock trading is what you're kind of saying. It is scenario analysis. Um, so like the one time that I came into market open and I was looking at 100% gapper and I was thinking about shorting it, pretty close to the opening price. Was on FFIE on May 20th, where it's like, yes, you're a gapper, but I also think you're a backside supernova chart. So it's like I feel like I have an increased scenario here relative to like an ordinary gapper. I kind of compartmentalize it differently and say, well, this is in the bucket of two different buckets that makes me want to be much more aggressive. And that's a scenario where I will be more aggressive, and that doesn't happen very often, and it doesn't happen on like what I would like on ordinary gappers. Like I treat them all the same for the most part, right? There's certain ones I don't short because of their characteristics in the first place, but I don't really increase size unless it's like I think I have an ace in the bucket.
Right. Yeah, essentially what I think we're getting out of this is it's not just the low floatness of it is just one of 20
Low floatiness.
Yeah, the low floatiness is one of probably 20 factors we would consider if we want to up our size or not, right? It's not just if it's gapping and is it low float. That's just not enough. Ton of other details like, right, is there former resistance from yesterday with like FFI massive resistance on this day. So this gap up day was like, not a no-brainer, but a very much higher convicted chance. Same with RR today, really. Like RR doing the same thing, gapping up into all this resistance, this massive selling yesterday. It makes me feel much better about this than like some day one gap up kind of thing. Stuff like that. So
I don't know why this question is for Huddy.
okay.
Um, but does Huddy have any plans to long Lumen?
I think he mentioned it in
No.
market.
Yeah, I said I wouldn't short it, but that specifically means I shouldn't just be long biased and want to long it. Because again, I think on day two, your odds are kind of stacked against you for the long in the first place. So it would have to, I don't even know what it would have to do. Like I'd much rather be the buyer at the breakout level 425 than being the guy trying to find an entry in the sevens on day two. Like I just think you're late. And I don't really know what Luma would have to
We're
do
late.
for me to like
We're late.
trust the level strong enough to know that it's going to hold for the rest of the day and that this is going to make new highs. Like again, I'm not really a scalper too. Like I don't have an interest on taking this from like 6 to 7. If I'm going to take this, I want to buy 425 and sell 5, 6, 7, right? Like that's my trade. I want to sit in it for a couple hours, if not the whole day. And I don't have that kind of trust on day two. So Predominantly, like I want to short sell today. Like that's what I want to do. But given that it's running off a catalyst that I don't really enjoy and that it's easy to borrow, I also see a world where shorting it is quite difficult. Just again, scenario analysis. So for me, it's just an avoid and a prayer that it goes to 910. And just because I think it can go there doesn't mean that I have to participate. Like the move that I should have participated in has already come and gone. So now it's just sit back in my chair, pray that it shapes up and goes higher and let everyone else do their thing with it. And the day that I have huge edge, I'll come back to it. And that's generally how trading works. You're just like ping-ponging between setups and you're trying to avoid the areas that you're not like familiar with, that you're not often involved in the first place. I think that answers your question.
Very nice. Someone also wants you to turn your mic up a little bit, Kyle.
Mine?
Say ours are really good, and I don't know if
Oh,
it's
sorry.
just
Let's see
you
here.
talk closer, you don't talk closer.
Let's see if this works.
Kyle likes to whisper when he trades.
And then until something starts to really go down.
He's like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, the one thing I wanted to say to that point is that like not trading something is a bias, right? You can be long, short, or just not trade it. Just because Huddy's not maybe short bias per se, or doesn't want to necessarily isn't thrilled about shorting Lumen today, does not mean he is now automatically long bias.
Dude, I am so short bias on Lumen right now, but I don't know. I don't have any pattern for right now. Like I could say risk reward wise, oh, I could just short mid to low sevens. I know my risk, but like if I lose on that, was there any real skill in like taking that trade? Because
And
I also think
realistically,
about like it being a top day, like a VFS or something, and then
Right.
we get the first red data. And if it's in the high sixes or sevens, like I'm so much happier shorting that with 20, 30 cents of risk.
exactly. Like even risking like and that's the thing, like this is what traders do. They'll kind of come in, especially scalpers, and they'll come in like the 720s and sevens and just risk it all off 7.5 and say it has to break down now. And it's like that works sometimes, but a lot of times that leads to a lot of chop. And it just depends on what kind of trader you want to be. I think all of us have tried a little bit of everything over 8, 9 years of our career, and we've kind of realized what is enjoyable to sit in and what is, can be a headache. And we want to avoid, scenarios that are going to mentally exhaust ourselves. We want the layups. We don't want to come into a basketball game and try to shoot around the perimeter. We want to be right under the net for someone else's ball to bounce off, and we'll just grab the ball and put it right back in the net. And that's, generally the first red day when it's up at the 10, 12 area and it goes red and you have 30 cents of risk. And it's really, much more easier to foresee, maybe $1, $2 of downside with smaller risk than shorting in the sevens, risking $1 and like praying for 6, which is really just 1-to-1. And it's still a prayer.
I'd rather pray that it holds up. Like I think and just know that I'm not going to lose anything. Like I feel so much better. Like every time it comes down here, I'm like, come on, hold, hold, hold. And then because if we build a support at 7, like if that is the floor that has to break tomorrow and I'm short from 750, then I can get 6 or 5 and it's massive. It's a massive win with great risk reward. And I don't know. I know Kyle's probably Trey. Are you short at all? Have you touched it?
No, I mean
Well, that's impressive.
when I look at this, I think there's a crack coming. I just don't have much FOMO because even if it does break down to 6, I still think this is such a high volume and choppy ticker. There's going to be a bounce, right? This is not going to just collapse to 550 and never see above like 6 again. So no matter how low it goes today, there's going to be a bounce and likely then the top is in and you still have all day tomorrow. Like tomorrow is really the day I want to be a part of, not really today. Yes, there's a world where I could see myself shorting this. Like again, if this just trades sideways for like 2 hours and then finally starts rolling over like off a cliff, then yeah, I think that's something I have to take, right?
But then you have the added edge of having 3 hours of market trading
Exactly.
to tell you that there's a bunch of wicks to the upside. The top looks like it's in. We're consolidating at 7. Like then you have the afternoon kind of short idea, OTC short idea, you know?
I have like an afternoon fade. It's like more data, more just stuff that I can use to build a better trade plan than just, risking 8, shorting at 7, hoping I get 6, right? So yeah, even if it does die right now and I don't part of it, tomorrow's the day for me. Tomorrow's the day I get excited.
Tomorrow's another day.
Where was it? KZIA, very similar where I knew it was going to kind of die today. It did. I actually did short this one overnight because I thought this one was much crappier than something like Lumen. And then this was your day. Now granted, the only fear would be is like, KZI brings up a good example, if Lumen gaps down big, right? If Lumen, let's say pulls to high fives, bounces, closes at like mid sixes, but then gaps down sub six, that would suck. But like, especially on a choppy ticker like Lumen, I have to take that risk because look at this. Here we go. This is why
so
we.
cute.
This is
I
why
love
we're.
it.
Yeah, this is why we're staying away, because there's moves like this that just happen out of nowhere.
This is what it was doing
And-
yesterday long, and it made you feel so good.
Yeah, yeah, great for long, not so much if you're short.
You have your finger on the trigger to take the loss. Oh, 30 cents higher.
Saved.
All right.
Yep. Anyways, one more question or so before we
see.
get out of here.
Someone said ADTX para short. I looked at it.
No.
That is not a parabolic.
No.
If that is a parabolic too, you are going to take many losses on stuff that are not parabolics. But you probably, I think they said they have warrants at 159. That's what the person said. And
So that makes sense why it topped, but it
49.
didn't, it didn't top
It was
because
fading
of the para.
off of it. But yeah, there's not even like 3 consecutive green candles.
Yeah, no. And it's only up, what is up in the day? I don't even know what this is. ADTX. 35%? Yeah, no. I think most pairs, in my experience, are going to be up.
I mean, Lumen the other day.
80, 90,
and even
100.
yesterday.
Yeah, Lumen's a better example. And even Lumen,
look at
it depends on the characteristics, but even Lumen was quite choppy and unfortunate.
On day one, though, the 30th.
The day one, the first parabolic I had was beautiful, and of course I actually wasn't even looking at it at the time.
That's what put it on radar.
This is a parabolic. Right, this is beautiful. So, anyways, guys, it was a great little episode. Of course, if you're in the 3-leaf and 4-leaf chat, you will obviously know when I've exited Sava and RR here. So far, they're just kind of slowing down on the selling, but so far so good. Actually, RR looks like it's going to crack to 50, which is nice.
Break.
But yeah, a Wine Wednesday tonight. I think, are all 3 of us going to be there?
I think we said it yesterday. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 3-way.
It'll be the first time in a long time. Maybe we'll reach out to Tim Grattani, see if he wants to join again. He actually has joined the last 2 weeks in a row. We haven't asked him. He's just
Should we just ask him to take over Wine Wednesdays and just run it for us?
Right.
We're all gone so much. He seems to be here on Wednesday nights.
out of the kindness of our heart, he has showed up and been there with us. So if you want to maybe get the chance to see him again tonight, maybe. No promises. I have no idea what he's doing. I haven't talked to him yet. But there's a chance.
But there is
he can join.
140 of you plus watching right now, and the numbers have dwindled for Wine Wednesday, mostly because of us and not being there every week. But we're telling you about it. 7 p.m. Eastern. Make time for it. Put it in your calendar right now. And we'd love to see you there. We'd love to hit 100 tonight. We're all going to be there. Bring your questions. I promise we'll all have a little bit of wine. And we're going to have some fun.
Here we go.
We're going to have
I'm
fun.
gonna have rosé.
He's gonna.
It's going to be fun.
We're gonna have what, Huddy?
Rosé.
Rose. There we
Ew.
go. That sounds
For
fun.
Kyle or for you?
For me, I brought it home from France. I can't wait to show everyone.
There we go. Nice.
Oh, God, we got to listen to a story.
How it was made. He med it with his own feet, stomping on grapes. Anyways, guys.
Don't ruin the story, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no spoilers.
All righty. We will see you guys over in the room. If you want to access cloverchain.io, if you want to increase your education, watch lists, video lessons, webinars every week, a whole video archive of webinars and video lessons. Go check it out. Cloverchain.io. Reach out to support if you have any questions. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're so close to 5K. Can we do it in the next couple weeks? That'd be awesome.
What are we at?
4.92.
We're like 80 away. Nice. Alrighty, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you guys later. Peace.